Welcome to the fourth lesson of this introduction course. Today we are going to fully recreate the animation that we saw in the first lesson. So without further ado, let's start building. So let's begin by firstly naming the layers which we are going to use in this animation. First of all, we're going to need this div here. So let's rename it to something like label CTA, for example. Then our heading 1, let's rename it into the title. Then this div here, which is the wrapper for my paragraph and the buttons. So let's name it something like P plus buttons. That will do. Then we will need this wrapper here, which holds my image and this background here. So let's find it in the layers. And let's name it something like image wrap. Then we need this left and the right pop-up. So let's name it left pop-up. And let's name this one the right pop-up. Okay, so once we named our layers, since we are going to use this hero section here, let's select it, go to the interactions tab here, hit the add button, open our animation, and let's start working here. First of all, let's set the name for our animation. Since this is our hero section, let's name this hero animation. For the event, I'll leave it on the on-page load. And why is that? That's because this is the hero section and this is the first section on this page. And when users come to this page here, this is the first section that they will see. So the best trigger to use here would be on-page load. Because once users come to this page, once the page is loaded, the animation will trigger. So that's the only reason I'm using on-page load here. Let's leave all these options here as they are right now, and let's jump to the actions. Let's go here to the plus icon, create our first action, let's open it, and let's firstly name our heading here. So let's name this action title. Let's leave this as it is. Our target needs to be title, just as we named them in the layers. Let's select it, set the easing again to my favorite one is out Bezier. Let's add some styles. Let's go for the opacity from 0 to 100, hit the save. Let's add another one. This time we'll use the scale, so let's go from 0.85 to the 1. Hit the save again. Let's preview it. And you can see that my animation here goes from 0.85 scale and from the 0 opacity to 100, but it's way too slow. So let's lower the duration here on 600 milliseconds, and this already looks way better. Now let's animate this CTA here. So let's add another action. Let's name it label CTA. Let's leave this to be the default ones. Let's search here for the label CTA. Let's add the easing method here. Let's add some styles. Let's go with the opacity from 0 to 100. Hit the save. Let's set another styling to Y position. Let's set it to negative 30 pixels. And it goes to 0 pixels. Let's hit save. Let's hit save again. And now let's use the timeline to edit the duration and the delay for this action here. So let's set the delay to something like 400 milliseconds. And for the duration, let's go same. Let's set the 400 milliseconds. If I preview my animation here, you will see that it waits a little bit, it gives our title time to be animated by itself, and then it jumps out. So that's pretty fine. Let's now animate this wrapper which holds paragraph and buttons. Let's add another action. Let's name it P plus buttons. Let's again leave this to be default. Let's set the target of P plus buttons. And you can see why the naming your layers is very, very important here. Let's set the easing. We'll use the same easing here. Set some styles. Let's go from 0 to 100 opacity. Let's set another one. Let's use the same here, Y position, sorry. And let's this time set 30 pixels instead of minus 30 pixels to 0. Hit the save. Hit the save again, and let's make this animation have the same delay and duration as this one here. So the delay is fine here. Let's just adjust the duration and let's preview it. And now, as you can see, these two actions execute at the same time and they have pretty much similar stylings. They're just inverted the Y position. This goes from top to bottom and this goes from bottom to top. So this looks very, very nice. Now let's jump and animate our image wrapper here. So let's create another action. Let's name it image wrap. Let's again leave this. We'll set up this into the timeline. Let's find our image wrap here. Let's set up the easing. Let's this time go with this ease in out bezier. Let's change it a little bit. Let's add a styles. Let's go with the opacity again. I really like that fade in effect, so that's why I'm always using the opacity. Hit the save. Let's add another one. And here we will use again the Y position, but this time let's increase the value a little bit. Let's go from 50 to 0. Hit the save again. Let's adjust our delay first. I think that this will do here. And you can see the timeline here is very useful since you can do it here approximately. So I maybe like this action here to start when this action has executed 2/3, for example. So I'll just make it look like this. And let's set the duration to, let's make this in half. Let's say to 500 milliseconds. When I execute it, you will see how it looks pretty nice. Now let's animate the left and the right pop-up. Let's begin with the left one. Let's name it left pop-up. We'll adjust this into the timeline again. Let's find our left pop-up here, select it, set the easing. Let's set again this ease in out, set some CSS properties like again fade in effect. And let's set again, as we set into our title, let's set the scale here. So let's go again from 0.85 to 1, hit save, hit the save again. Let's adjust the delay here to 900 milliseconds is okay. Let's set the duration to 400 milliseconds. Let's preview how it looks like. And you can see that we have this nice scale up and fade in effect. So the last thing here has left is this right pop-up. So we'll need another action. Let's scroll down a little bit. Let's name it right pop-up. We'll again set up this into the timeline. Let's find our target here. Let's type in that correctly. Right pop-up is what we need here. Let's set the easing. Let's again go with this one. Set some styles. We'll set the same styles as we set on our left pop-up. So let's go with fade in effect and with the scale up effect. So 0.85 to 1, hit save, hit the save again. And let's make these actions, the left and the right pop-up, execute at the same time and have the same duration. So they will execute at the same time, as you can see here. So let's just adjust the duration here and let's see what we made here. And you can see that we made a pretty nice animation, but let's this time make this delay a little bit bigger. Let's see what we've done here. And as you can see, okay, I like this example here a little bit more than the previous one, so I'll stick with this one. So let's hit save here and let's take a look how this looks in the preview mode of our website. So as I enter the preview mode and we are in the full screen now, let's reload now. And you can see as soon as my page loads, my animation triggers, and now everything looks way better. And we came to the end of the 4th lesson and at the same time end of this introduction course. In this course we went through the basics of how to create animations through the interaction system on Divhunt. In the future we'll be having more advanced courses where we'll cover all the options that we left behind in this course. So be sure to stay tuned and see you there.